Our sales team closes at 43% year to date, more than double the industry average. Most people would assume this is because our sales team is full of a bunch of killers who don't take no for an answer. In truth, our high close rate has very little to do with the sales team. In my experience, salespeople, while valuable, are still people, meaning they are highly unpredictable. I've had salespeople close at 80% for weeks on end, only to hit a 21-day dry streak that shakes them to their core. So rather than putting our company's fate in the hands of our sales team, I've built an incredibly effective marketing system instead. One that is able to consistently book appointments with high intent, high quality prospects, making it easier for our sales team to keep a consistent high close rate. In this video, I'm going to reveal a piece of this marketing system to you in the hopes that you can install it into your business in order to help you scale. Really quickly, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ravi Abuvala. I'm the founder of Scaling with Systems, a company that builds marketing systems for coaches, consultants, agencies, and online service providers. The rest of this video is pulled directly from our 4-week action plan, which you can get for free by clicking the link in the description down below. Let's get started. All right, so for week 3, let's talk about how to create an effective sales system, okay? So at this point, we should have a world-class offer, and we should start seeing booked appointments with qualified prospects on our calendar. And unless you've run paid advertising before, these will simply put be some of the most difficult sales calls you have ever taken. And they're not difficult because the client acquisition system doesn't work. It does work. The system works. We've made millions of dollars from it. We've generated tens of millions of dollars for our clients. But the reason why it will be difficult is because most businesses rely on organic or word of mouth marketing, okay? And these sales are incredibly easy as there is already a know, like, and trust factor for those types of people. So if someone finds you on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, one of your clients refers them over to you, there's already that know, like, and trust factor. So they're not really having to be convinced, right? But on ads, when you're running ads on any platform, these people that are coming in, and you actually might have come in from an ad yourself, they're typically highly skeptical, right? They just met you a few minutes, a few hours, or even a few days ago, and their kind of bullshit meter is up and running and thinking like, is this person telling me the truth or not? And this is not something that we should fear. And this is the biggest mistake I see when people are running advertising or they're thinking about running paid traffic, is that they think, oh, well, because the traffic's going to be hard, then I shouldn't do it. These people are so difficult to close. But what that means in reality is that you're not willing to grow your business, because one way or another, if you're going to grow your business, you have to do something uncomfortable, because by its very nature, it has to change, and change is uncomfortable. So this is something you should lean into, because if you have the ability to face rejection and you have the ability to lean in and tap into a market that has no idea who you are and turn those people into clients, aka money, then you have an infinitely scalable business, right? So this video here, I want to specifically talk about for this week how to close more deals. Now, there are literally dozens of ways to close more deals when it comes inside of here, and inside, when we work with our clients, we literally teach them dozens of different of frameworks, and we give them sales call recordings. We actually listen to their sales calls. We give them feedback, like huge long documents that walks through everything. So we can and we'll train their salespeople as well if they get on a one-on-one call with our sales team leaders. So like, we go a lot more in depth when I have more time, when someone works with us one-on-one. But I do want to kind of walk through a few ways that you can possibly get better at sales. So the first thing is that I do recommend starting to build sales assets that assist you and your sales team in the sales process. An example of this could be that you script and edit a thank you page video. And I've actually dropped one of our thank you page videos here. So after somebody books a call to speak with us, and hopefully that's something that you are considering doing, you'll be taken to a page where there's a few different assets on that page. And one of the assets is this video here where I walk through, how our company works, what makes us different, et cetera, et cetera. And by doing this, we're increasing the chance that someone's actually going to show up to a call. And when they show up to the call, call, we don't have to spend the entire call explaining who we are, what makes us different, what's our track record, how does the process work. And that is going to eat up a lot of that sales call time. And then you don't have a lot of time to answer specific questions. Instead, I put a lot of that inside this video here. And it's literally just, I think, an 8-minute video or a 9-minute video. And that way, by the time they've already watched the first video, you've watched a piece of content like this, you're kind of interested, you want to know how it works exactly. So you book a time. On the thank you page, you'd watch a video like this, and then you'd really get clarity on exactly how everything works. And then when you show up to the call, it's a lot smoother. We're not hard selling anybody. We're not like twisting anybody's arm. It's a very casual process where we discover where your bottlenecks are in your business and then explain to you if we can solve them and what that would look like, right? And that's what happens when you start to build sales assets, right? You can also create pitch decks. You can create nurture emails, objection handling content. We have specific content for people whenever they have an objection. I have literally 2-hour-long videos that our team will send over to our clients that are thinking like, hey, here's my objection. And then they say, hey, I understand you have that objection. Some of our other clients had that objection too. Here's a video you should watch. And that video is me being able to speak to the camera like this. And it's essentially a leverageable way, remember what we were talking about before, for me to speak one-on-one with every single person considering to work with us, right? And that's the kind of sales assets that you should be considering building in order to increase the efficiency of your sales team, right? And the truth is that most people don't want to hear that the best way to get better at sales is to simply take more sales calls. That is it, right? There is no magic secret. There is no magic trick. Now, of course, you can optimize and become more efficient. And just like, when you work with somebody who's already done what you're doing or they're a master at it, they can help you learn faster. But even, the Karate Kid waxing on and waxing off, learning from Mr. Miyagi, he still had to wax on and wax off, right? For hours and hours and hours. So if you just think like you're going to watch this YouTube video or read this book and you're going to be a sales master, you're kind of just kidding yourself a little bit. All right. That stuff can help you, but I've actually never done any sales training in my entire life. And I have personally closed more than $4 million in my first few years of business. So, you don't have to have all this sales training. What you need to do is you need to have a good structure foundation. Then you need to go out there and have some kind of system that keeps you taking sales calls so you can keep on improving. Then you get feedback from those sales calls. You maybe listen to tape or you have somebody else like our team listen to the tape and give you feedback. Then you iterate and you go back and take the next sales call. That's the secret, right? But most people don't want to hear that. They want to hear that there's this one, pill that you take and magically you're, the best salesperson in the world. Okay. Now, that being said, to make sure you do leave with something, I'm going to give you the easiest way that we have found to close more sales. And this is typically when we have a client come in and they're doing, $20,000 to $50,000 a month, then this might be the first thing that we do for them in order to increase their efficiency. Because one of the things this will do is this is a simple, like almost like taking a pill kind of solution that you can do in the next 20 minutes that is guaranteed to increase your close rate. And it's going to increase your close rate without having to take any more sales calls and with only working with the best people. So let me walk through what it is, right? So what is the easiest way to close more deals? By far, the easiest and fastest way to close more deals is to curate more calls. What does curate mean? Curating a call means that you cancel the appointment because they are not the right fit. Most people think that they are terrible at sales when in reality, they are selling to people who cannot buy, right? We have an example that I always tell my clients when we work with them of a client of ours named Justin who came in, him and his partner, Zach, launched a company and they were like 0 for 40 or they're maybe like 1 for 40 when they were taking their sales calls for the new company. We had the sales funnel up. We were getting booked appointments. They did everything we talked about before, but they were like 1 for 40 or 1 for 35. And when I started listening to their sales recordings and I got on a call with them, I identified that I just simply asked Justin, I said, Justin, how many of these 35 or 40 sales calls do you think were actually qualified? And he looked at me and he said, probably 2 or 3, right? And when he said 2 or 3, I said, okay, great. So your sales closing percentage is not 1 out of 35. It's 1 out of 2 or 3. And all of a sudden, he went from being the worst salesperson in the world to a good salesperson with just a change of perspective. And so this is why there's something called false positives or false negatives. This is why it's important to have somebody who understands what they're doing, because Justin could have gone out there. He could have bought all of these masterminds and learned from all these people about sales and adjusted his entire sales process. When in reality, reality, the problem was the marketing. It wasn't bringing in more qualified people, and he wasn't canceling or curating the unqualified people. And so he's getting all these calls. People are saying it's too expensive. Then he's thinking, oh, my stuff's too expensive. I need to lower the price. And that could have a huge ripple effect on your business. If you had to lower the price because you thought people couldn't afford it, and it's only just because you're talking to unqualified people, let's say you lower it 50%, right? That could be literally tens of, if not hundreds, if not millions of dollars in opportunity costs because you're making the wrong decision to lower your price based on the wrong data set, aka people that are not qualified, right? So what a lot of people don't realize is that advertising is what is known as net marketing, meaning that you are casting a wide net and you're pretty much seeing what you're going to pull up when you're going fishing here. And it stands to reason that not everyone who is interested in working with you is qualified to do so. So qualification means that they have the pain point and they are qualified financially to purchase your products or services. The problem that people think is they think the qualification is that they have the pain point. That's not qualified, right? And if we go back earlier to what we talked about in week 1 about identifying who your avatar is, you should get very specific with how much money they're doing, how much profit they're taking home. So that's all part of what's qualified. So for us, you're not qualified if you are a brick and mortar business, for example. We don't serve, as of right now, we don't serve brick and mortar businesses. And so you're not qualified. So even if you had $10 million, you run a brick and mortar business and you want to give us money, we wouldn't accept it, right? Because you're not qualified for that reason there. So most people are looking at the most bare levels of qualification, aka do they have a pulse, and then basing their sales process and their decisions on the sales process off of that, okay? So let me just give you an extreme example that I like to give, right? I live in Miami, Florida. Let's say I walk out to the street in Miami, Florida, and I yell, I'll make you $100,000 guaranteed. Probably a lot of people would run up to me and say, I'd love for you to make me $100,000. I'd love you to make me $100,000, right? I'd have a horde of people around me in just a few seconds in Miami, Florida, if I had yelled out that I'd make you $100,000 guaranteed, right? And a lot of times we'll make our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not like I'm just yelling this and this is not a thing that I've done. I've helped people make tens of millions of dollars before, right? So I can make a statement like, hey, I'll make you $100,000 guaranteed. However, the truth is that if I stand on the street and yell that, the majority of the people there are not going to be qualified for me to help them. Some of the people that came up to me may even be homeless. They may literally not have a home, but because they can use their mouth, then they're going to walk up and say, I want to work with you, right? So would it make sense for me to sit there and put everyone in a single file line and speak to every single person one after the other, go through an hour-long sales presentation just for the person to say, oh, I actually don't have a home. There's no way I can afford this. And I know this is obviously a silly extreme example, but you don't realize is that online advertising is a lot like yelling on the street. It's just a more effective way to do so. So it's not as ineffective as yelling on the street and like everybody's there. Of course, you have ways you can set up the ad campaign and audiences and look like audiences and adjust the pixels so you're going after qualified people. But even let's just do the math. To make $1 million a year in your business, it's less than 4% of business in the United States. So when you're running ads, it's going to be impossible to only run ads to that 4% of people. And I know some people that only want to work with business owners that are making 8 figures a year. That's less than 0.5% of businesses in the United States. So when you think of it this way, there's absolutely no way you can run ads and get that specific with your targeting. Now, what you're doing is you're looking for what's known as unit economics. So let's say I was going after people that made at least $1 million a year. That's only 4% of people. And I'm showing it to the 100% of people, or maybe with good targeting, I'm showing, only 50% of people who out of that, 10% of them are $1 million a year or more. Well, then I just have to have the unit economics work out. So, hey, maybe it's going to be $700 for me to get a booked call, but because these people have $1 million, I can charge more money. And because I can charge more money, I'm taking home, let's just say $5,000. And so I close one out every 2 appointments. So it's $700 times 2 is $1,400 and I make $5,000, right? So I'm a net of like 2.3 times return on investment. So that's how it all kind of shakes out. And that's an extreme example, obviously, with the homeless and yelling in the street, but I just want to show you that that's what most people are doing with their ads. And most people don't understand how to do the targeting correctly. So they're just blasting it out to everybody. And it's almost like they're yelling from the street. So it's like even worse than that. So that's why it's important to make sure you know you're targeting. But more important than that, no matter what you do, whether you're running ads, you're doing organic, whatever else it is, you need to make sure you're curating appointments. So you're only taking the most qualified people, because that will, as I'm going to go through in a moment, save you so much time, energy, but more importantly, it will make you more money. Okay. So to give you an example, inside of our company, Scaling Systems, we curate over 75% of those that apply to work with us. And then we only make an offer to less than half of the people people that we actually speak to. So that means that if 100 people go through and apply to work with us, we may only try to work with 5 to 8 of them. This is not that we will only work with 5 to 8 of them. No. We will only try. We'll make an offer and say this, we'll court them. We'll say we can help you. This is how we're going to help you, et cetera, et cetera. So out of the 100 people that apply, 5 of them we're going to go, we can help these people, right? And you may think, wow, you're giving up. And trust me, this is what my salespeople say all the time. You're leaving a lot of money on the table, Ravi. Let's make different offers. Let's have different tiers. Let's have a lower tier for this person. And trust me, I have done that in the past. It does not work out, okay? You can make a multiple 8-figure business. That means $10 million plus a year selling one offer to one type of person. How do I know that? Because I've done it twice now. Okay. And I made multiple 7 figures a year doing multiple offers to multiple different people, right? So in order to get from 7 to 8 figures, ironically enough, I had to sell less things and just sell more of it. Okay. So that was a lesson I learned, and you don't have to go through that yourself. So while speaking to fewer people may seem counterintuitive to closing more deals, it's actually the most effective thing that you can do, right? Talking to the most qualified people has a few positive benefits for the business. So talking to less people, only 5 to 8 out of 100, is actually the best thing you can do for your business for these reasons here. All right. Number one, you have no false negatives. So someone saying, oh, that's too expensive. This isn't going to work. You shouldn't sell this product or service, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to think, oh, well, this person's right. I should listen to them. But that person is not your qualified avatar. So why are you listening to them in the first place? You keep your energy where it matters most. I've had people literally running a sales team of like 8 to 10 people. And that's another thing that I have down here, fewer salespeople to manage. And so they're spending all their time managing a sales team to manage all these calls, but in reality, out of 15 calls on their calendar a day, 1 or 2 of them was qualified. So you could even just take the 1 or 2 calls, have a 50% close rate, not have to pay out a salesperson, and only spend 2 hours a day on sales and spend the rest of the time enjoying your life or growing your business, right? You can also get some momentum. So if you do run a sales team, we have a sales team of, I think, 5 or 6 people right now. So if you do have a sales team, then, and by the way, 5 or 6 people, we run an 8-figure company. So don't think if you have 15 salespeople, depending on everything else, it might be a sign. But if you're a salesperson, you're running a sales team, momentum's a real thing. If a salesperson wakes up every single morning to 10 appointments on the calendar, and then 9 of them are unqualified or don't show up, it's pretty deflating to the salesperson, right? And they're going to likely leave or find another gig, or they're not going to perform well. There's also a higher chance of client success. So I talk about this as there's 2 options. There's a death spiral, and I call it the positive spiral. So the death spiral is when you get bad clients, you close bad clients, unqualified people. So even if you get the person to pay, but they're unqualified, they're not your avatar, then you're not able to service them, or they take more time, energy, and effort to service. Then even if you're not able to service them correctly, or even if you do spend all the time, energy, effort, and money to service them, you still may not get results because they're not qualified. So then they ask for a refund, and then they don't give you a referral, and then they don't send, and then they don't renew, and then you're back to the beginning again. And the exact opposite happens if you go after qualified people. If we get a qualified person in, we are looking to make them their return on investment within 48 hours of them working with us, and we're looking to have their client acquisition system set up within 72 hours, right? That's how tight we can make those numbers when we are working with someone who matches our one pager, who we know fits all these things here. Then if they have that kind of success immediately, they send us clients all the time. A great traffic source for us is referrals. So they send us business, and from that business, we're able to do the exact same thing again. Those people send us testimonials. You guys have seen in some of the other videos, we have case studies, we have screenshots of client wins that we update every single day. All of these are because we started with really qualified clients. Like I said earlier, there's fewer people to manage, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay. So let's really quickly talk about how do you curate more calls. We recommend asking 1 to 2 questions in the application or booking process that gives you a strong indication if this call is worth taking or not, right? So at this point, you should be bought into the whole curation or canceling unqualified calls, and you should do it before you speak with the person. And in reality, you can even do it inside of a software, like an application software, to where they can't even book a call if they're unqualified. So we recommend asking 1 or 2 questions in the application or booking process that lets you know, should we at least consider getting on the phone with this person, yes or no, right? So is it going to be right 100% of the time? Probably not, but 90% of the time, yes. So we have literally thousands of people that have applied to work with us, and the way that we set up, we're a very big data-driven company. The way that we have our data and CRM set up, we can literally see when somebody answers this question on the application, how long until they book the call, how long until the call is taken, what's the show-up rate, what's the close rate, how long until they get their first win, what we call a ring the bell, do they refer anybody over? So we can literally break down the data. And an example of this marketplaces, we know that if somebody says that they're looking to solve this problem a month out in advance, that they almost never work with us. That they're just kind of window shopping. So we just cancel all those appointments. Have we closed deals from people that say that they want to work with us a month in advance? Sure, but after so much time and energy and effort following up, so instead we just cancel the appointment. We said, look, when you're ready, come back and apply to work with us again. Okay. And funny enough, this is exactly what we talked about in week 1 about nailing your avatar, right? If you don't know exactly who you're serving, how will you know who you can't serve? Okay. So that's why if you keep on seeing this common theme about week one, the offer, that's because it's the most important thing you can do for the profitability of your business. If you don't know who you are 100% serving, then how can you say, hey, I just need to know these 2 things of whether this person's going to work with us or not, right? And you can typically boil it down to a multiple choice question that makes curation very, very simple. For example, this is something that we've set up for our clients before. Are you a real estate agent that does more than 2 deals a month? And these are the 3 answers to the question that lets you know whether you should work with this person. Number 1, I'm not a real estate agent. They're automatically disqualified. You don't take the call with that person. Number 2, I'm a real estate agent that does less than 2 deals a month. That's also a disqualification. You automatically redirect them to something else. And then number 3, I'm a real estate agent that does more than 2 deals a month. Now that person is qualified. And going back to some of the numbers, because I used to serve real estate agents in my advertising agency, less than 68%, somewhere in the 60s, less than 60% of real estate agents make more than $40,000 a year. So that means that the average real estate agent, the majority, is making like $3,000 to $3,500 a month, okay? And I was offering a service that was $2,500 a month. So somehow these people were supposed to pay me $2,500 a month and still have a few $100s for rent, take care of their kids, all the other stuff they have in their lives. And I almost lowered my prices until I switched things around to only serving real estate agents that do more than 2 deals a month. And although that's the minority, they were able to easily afford my stuff. And we very quickly scaled my advertising agency, okay? And when it's this simple, when you can literally be this specific, you can really easily add in automation and delegation to curate these appointments for you. And when we curate an appointment, we just send an email apologizing to them, explaining why we can't take the call and sending them some resources to help them out. So if we can't take it, or whether we cancel it manually or we auto curate it, we'll send them information. We'll say, hey, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we can serve you because we guarantee our results and you don't fit the criteria for these reasons here. We always take the blame. That's our value of our company. So I say, this is not your fault. This is our fault. We're just very specific with who we work with. Here are some free resources that can maybe get you to the point to where we can serve you, right? And if you're watching this may be one of the things that we sent over to you, right? So just to wrap everything up, I really recommend you start curating appointments that aren't 100% your ideal avatar. So take the time to set the system up in place so that you're only talking to people that fit that criteria that we created in week 1, okay? And slowly watch your closing percentage increase, watch your profitability increase, watch your client success, your time to value, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Watch all of that stuff increase. And as usual, if you don't want to have to figure all this out on your own and decide, okay, how do I set up the software and the funnels and the ads, and how do I build these sales assets, and how do I have somebody listen to my sales calls? If you just want us to take care of that for you, I recommend clicking the button somewhere around this video, applying and booking time to speak with our team, and we'll walk through how we can do all of that for you. Hope you have an amazing day, and thanks for your time. See you guys in the next video.